And a good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. First show for the new millennium. Kick back, relax, because we've got a lot of topics to touch on in the next 30 minutes. St. John Flames are in first place in the AHL's Atlantic Division. The NFL playoffs are in full swing. And what a couple of great games we had over the weekend. And should Dominic Hasek be on his way to the All-Star game in Toronto in February? Those and a whole lot more. Those topics we're going to be discussing right here. So make sure you come back and join us. And a good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Jim Hennessy flying solo for the time being. Welcome to the year 2000. And of course, more sports to talk about as we begin per normal for this time of the year. The St. John Flames we touch on. First want to make mention. Holiday season is done. We had a couple of weeks off. We certainly hope you, your family, and your friends had a great holiday and welcomed in the year 2000 in fine style. St. John Flames were in action Saturday night. Big loss Friday night against the Worcester Ice Cats, 4-3 in overtime. So the Flames were still tied for first place tied for first place in the AHL's Atlantic Division. A couple of weeks off. We're a little slow off the gate here. Anyway, Saturday night they took on the Portland Pirates on Saturday night, and this was a huge game because the Flames had a chance to vault into first place, sole possession in the AHL's Atlantic Division, but things didn't work out that well. With some of the highlights from the game on Saturday night at Harbor Station, let's go to the tape.
Moving it for Metropolitan, back to Tezikov at his own line. Huscroft ahead for Metropolitan, moving in, shot, save, rebound, scores! Mike Peluso buries the rebound past Pavel Nestash. Great feed from Huscroft ahead to Metropolitan. McLean heads to the bench. New penalty killer is Petrovicki. Moore plays it to the Flames line. Moore steals it from Shirai and scores! Peluso sends it back in. Peluso comes up with it. Goes around St. Croix for Metropolitan. Scores! Moore in front for Schmier. He's tied up. Got the backhander away. Garner the save, and then Roach flips it back. Schmier and Odette are going to drop the gloves. Odette comes in with a few left hands, and now Schmier lands a few solid rights and knocks Odette down. Heated streak to 7 games. Nelson in front. Tezikov all alone. Backhand. Oh, save Garner. Tezikov centers it. Nelson to the point. Huscroft the blast. Garner the save. Sheriff sends it into St. John Real Estate. Hard after it is Whitfield. Staples ties him up. Church centers. Volchkov is loose. Shot. Scores! Brad Church and Alexander Volchkov collaborating there, and it's 4-0. Out here's Metropolitan in a foot race. Garner comes way out and pokes it ahead. And the opening period mercifully comes to an end for St. John. Nelson to the point. Baumgartner. Volchkov's side of the net. Scores! Through the legs of Ty Garner. Second power play goal of the game for the Pirates. They lead 5-0.
Goal of the season. Scored by number 29, Alexander Volchkov. Assist to number 9.
Massaging his shoulders there, perhaps telling them that he hasn't forgotten about him. Clark down the left side. Moving into the corner in front. Graton scores! Puck, Bejean working along the board. St. Croix will backhand it to the line, not out. More across for Baumgartner. 5 seconds left. Nelson in front. Metropolitan backhands it in front. Nelson scores! As time expires, the red light does not come on, but it's a goal, and it's 6-1. The line dropping it off. Scoville moving in. Wrist shot. Crookshank the save. Now Petrovicki wants to fight. I think that's Jamie Huscroft, and it is. Huscroft and Petrovicki have dropped the gloves, and now the linesmen are going to intervene here. between Huscroft and Petrovicki, and that might be best. And Cowan is back to pick up the puck. Cowan moves up the left wing into the Portland zone. Cowan goes hard to the net, scores! Now it's Volchkov taken out of the play by Roach. Tkachuk to the point. Scoville lines in front for Roach. On a pretty feed by Scoville, Roach tipped it, but it went off the end glass.
And there you have it. St. John Flames get waxed on Saturday night against the Portland Pirates 6-2. To the Flames' credit, they did go on the road, jumped on the Iron Lung right after that game, had a game in Portland on Sunday night, and with 2 goals in the third period, managed a 4-2 victory over the Pirates. So that means the Flames now stand alone, sole possession of first place in the AHL's Atlantic Division. Bruce McDonald, nice to have you here in the studio.
Good to be here again, Jim.
Hope you had a great holiday.
Great one, yeah.
Beautiful. We talked about Saturday night's game a little bit, and I mean, where do you start when things go wrong? I mean, from bad to worse, the Flames' defense was pitiful. No help for the goaltenders whatsoever. They rotated back and forth between Garner and Westdeck, and you know, you felt bad for this kid getting the start. A lot of people, the buzz around the building, like, oh my God, they're giving him the start. What's going on? But to his credit, he played well when he had to, but no help, no support whatsoever. Flames came out flat for the first 40 minutes, and that's been a problem with this team over the last couple of games. Come out flat, then pick things up in the last 20 minutes and hope to make this great, big, immaculate comeback. But they fell way short Saturday night. But like we said, to their credit, they rebounded well on Sunday. Rick Vaive says that the veterans have to step up and play a bigger role for this team. And, I mean, I think that pretty much sums up everything that went wrong for the Flames on Saturday night.
Well, the way I see it, Jim, is they've had it a bit easy with their competition the last few weeks, playing St. John's 3 times and so on. And they've gotten away with playing 1 period of hockey. The game they were down 4-0 to St. John's, scored 5 in the 3rd period. They can't do that against teams like Portland or Worcester or, you know, any of these other teams that come up in their immediate schedule here. But the sad part about the whole thing Saturday night is you had a good crowd there. They announced 4,500. We discussed, and we thought there might have been more.
I think there might have been a bit more than 4,500.
And you know, the naysayers are going to be jumping forward now and saying, "Look at, you have a big crowd here. The team stinks to join us." Basically, what they did. Let's be honest about it.
Oh, for sure.
They stunk to join us.
It was a terrible game.
There was not one player on that ice that I could see. Believe it or not, maybe Rocky and Brett McLean, who puts an effort, it seems, every night.
In the highlight package we ran, probably the best save of the game came from Tyrone Gardner in the 2nd period when they called him in, and he made an unbelievable toe save, extended both ways, butterfly save, and it was beautiful. But that was probably the only highlight for the St. John Flames. I said to my wife when we were sitting there watching the game, I said, if anybody came into this building tonight that this was the first St. John Flames game they'd seen all season, you'd never believe that this team was in first place. You'd never believe it, because the effort was bad. It just wasn't there. And I said this before we went on camera, that's how Moncton lost their AHL franchise. The fans get tired of a team getting out there just floating back and forth, up and down the ice, no effort whatsoever. Last 10, 15 minutes of the game, they go full steam and try to make this great big comeback. But you've got to look and say they need that full conservative effort. Now, take nothing away from the team. They're in first place. Lead Quebec by 2 points now. They've still got 4 games in hand over the Citadel, so it's going to be interesting down the stretch to see how they do make out. And one thing we have to make mention of, Rick Vaive against Worcester on Friday night was ejected from the game. Interesting situation with no assistant coach. Tommy Watt sitting way up high in the press box. Took about 10 minutes for him to make his way down to ice level. So Tommy jumps behind the bench. But here's another situation where you hear the buzz around the building when you go down to a game and you say, you know, Rick Vaive might need an assistant coach, because how many times this year have you seen the Flames take a bench minor for having too many men on the ice? You know, I mean, full credit to Rick. He's doing a good job by himself. But having an assistant coach, boys, it really helps out when you're doing those line changes and stuff like that, and you don't get called for those stupid penalties.
Well, Vaive flipped out Sunday, too, and during the game. I was listening to it on the radio from Portland, and he flipped out, I think it was in the 2nd period, started pounding the boards again, screaming, yelling at the officials, and I said, oh, my God, here we go. Hope Tom Watt was whipped them down there, because either that or Eric Sharon would have had to take his coaching training they learned while he was hurt there earlier in the year and take it right behind that bench and start coaching them. But Vaive, like you say, they have had too many men on the ice penalties, no doubt about it. I mean, I don't know how many they've had, but
no, I haven't added them up.
I think more than a couple is too many, really.
Absolutely.
But how many teams in pro hockey anywhere now don't have an assistant coach, or 2 or 3 even? I mean, we don't need 3, but we certainly need 1. Like we need someone to replace Jeff Perry for sure.
You bet. You bet. And Jeff's a huge loss, of course, and I don't think you find anybody dispute that fact. We'll stay with Vive for a minute here. No word yet on whether or not he is going to be suspended after Friday night's game against Worcester. Rick's going to the All-Star game. He'll be there with playing with the Legends team when they go to Toronto, bringing back some of the Maple Leaf greats for the All-Star Classic in February. And that's a great credit to him, because I know when they shifted from the Gardens to their new home at the Air Canada Centre, a lot of people said, you know, I mean, Rick Vive, youngest captain, first man to score 50 goals, 3 straight seasons in a row. Why wasn't he there? And Rick didn't, when we talked to him, he didn't seem put out by it. He said, well, you know, I'm down here coaching, I'm busy, and I've got a busy and hectic schedule myself. But I think if that weekend, if you could be with Rick in Toronto, he's taking his family and his kids and his wife, and I think if you can be there, I think you're going to see an awful big smile on his face.
Oh, yeah, he deserves to be there. I mean, like you say, he's the first and only Leaf to this day, or I believe he's still the only one that scored 50.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Andrzejczyk scored 50, but he had left the Leafs, and he did it with another organization. Because he started the year of his 50-goal year with the Leafs, and he was traded. But he's still the only one. I mean, he's one of the all-time great goal scorers in Toronto history, no doubt about it. I mean, maybe I had to introduce him to his goalie every once in a while. But
we'll stay with the Leafs real quick here. We'll jump to another venue. Look who's coming back. Wendell is coming down the track. Wendell Clark is suiting back up for the Leafs. A lot of conditions on this contract that they did sign him to. It all depends on his conditioning and his ability to score goals for this team. And I think it's just a perfect mix. Brian Berard really not living up to expectations. Pat Quinn's been very vocal about that the past couple of weeks. And the Leafs are in a bit of a slump right now. You know, lost a couple of close games, but really got hammered last week against Buffalo 8-2. Just a total humiliating game for them. Glenn Healy's been taking the goaltending duties for the past couple of games, and they just can't seem to get on track. So maybe Wendell's the right person, especially to get, not that they need more fans in the seats, but Wendell's loved in Toronto, adored greatly, and this is only going to help them coming down the stretch. His playoff experience is out and real. Well,
I think the key to this whole thing here with getting Wendell Clark back to Toronto, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but I think that gives the Canadian quota up to 48% now on the Leafs.
Well, you can't hurt them,
unless it's
sure.
Clark off.
I think
Victor ticking off Clark.
I just think he's going to do well.
I agree totally.
He's always shined well in Toronto. You know, a couple of nagging injuries that kept him out of the lineup when he would have loved to have been in there. But I think, you know, Wendell's a good fit for Toronto. Like we said, the fans.
I like Wendell Clark. You know, he's a hard-nosed hockey player. Everyone loves Wendell. I mean, we'd love to have him in Montreal, no doubt about it.
You bet. So, you bet. Wayne Gretzky went on record this morning, actually, Monday morning, and said that the Canadian franchises deserve a tax break from the Canadian government. It's time for them to ante up, pay up the bill, because the owners take so much money. And he said something, and I might not have the exact quote down, but he said something that Canadian taxpayers don't realize, that they do have to try to help out these Canadian franchises. And you know, there's a lot of people out there, and it's an age-old argument. It's been around for a couple of years now. Paul Martin's bringing down his new budget next month, so we'll see. That's when the government said they're going to announce whether or not they're going to give these Canadian franchises any money. Is Gretzky in the right place here to be making a statement about that? Well,
I think so. I mean, Wayne's Wayne. I mean, people listen to Wayne right now. He's involved, it seems to me he's involved with more now in the last year since he retired since he ever was before. I mean, you see his face in everything, from the internet to the newspapers to everything. I think sure, people listen to him. I think, and I agree with him too. I think the government has to help the Canadian teams out. I mean, I think we've seen enough teams go to the States right now. And we need to save our franchises. Otherwise, we're going to, once again, we talked about this months ago, we're going to be left with Montreal, Toronto, and maybe Vancouver.
It's looking that way.
I hate to see that.
It's looking that way right now. Switch back to Calgary just real quick. The Flames, the parent club, playing extremely well of late. Freddie Brathwaite has assumed the #1 position in goal. Jean-Sébastien Giguère played a great game in a 3-1 win about a week and a half ago. So we talked about this before the Christmas break, and you kind of laughed at me, so this is why I wanted to bring this point up. You said that, you know, Giguère's not going anywhere. He's going to stay right here, and you don't have to worry about him getting called up. The day after you said that, bingo, bango, bongo.
Me?
You bet. And
have that on tape?
Yeah, Donnie, maybe we can try to find that tape. He gets called up because Grant Fuhrer has to go arthroscopic Arthas.
Geez, Jim, you know, it
Easy for
seems
me to say. Knee surgery is what he had to have.
Yeah, knee
Okay?
surgery.
So we're not quite sure when he's going to be coming back. They said 4 to 6 weeks, and that will take us to about the 3rd week of February.
Yes.
Jaguar's playing extremely well up there. Grant Fuhrer, as we all know, and we've commented on several times, big mistake. And
Okay, Jim.
on hand of the Calgary organization. Now, wait a minute. Don't stop me now. Okay. So they spent all this money.
Yeah.
Now he's on the shelf.
Yeah, okay.
Corey Stillman's on the shelf as well, but that's another story.
Yeah.
So it's looking. Now we're just predicting here that Brathwaite is going to stay number 1. Jaguar is going to stay up there, it looks like, probably for the rest of the season. Calgary's got a real good chance, only 1 game under 500, heading into the playoffs this year. I don't think, now this is just me, I don't think Fuhrer's going to come back.
I agree.
I think that's it.
Okay.
So,
okay, can I just comment on the Jaguar? It seems to me we sat here the last show before Christmas, and it seems to me Jaguar was already gone.
No, he was
we had discussed.
Nope.
Okay, maybe it wasn't. Okay, maybe it wasn't. Weren't we discussing who was going to be a goaltender here in St. John? You're right. We were talking about the backup then because Garner had been sent to the East Coast. That's right. And we discussed Jaguar. Maybe I did say he wasn't. Anyway, that might be true. But I agree with you. I agree with you totally that he's there for the year now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you heard the rumors as well as I have. Tyler Moss going to the lease organization for Jimmy Waite. I hope that happens. Jimmy Waite's a good goaltender. He really helped us here.
Well, I mean, let's face facts. When they played those 2 games against the St. John's Maple Leafs when the Flames were over there, Al Coates didn't come down to St. John's because he, loves the Newfoundland Screech. He was over there trying to swing a deal to get Jimmy Waite here for the St. John Flames.
And Jimmy Waite didn't play either of those games either. We all thought it was going to happen right then, didn't we? So
you bet. So we're still waiting to see if the trigger's going to get pulled on that deal. It's going to be interesting down the stretch. A lot of good stuff happening.
I also think if that deal happens, Tyler Moss doesn't leave Kansas City either. He's not going to end up on the Rock.
You don't think?
He'll be going with a couple of young guys over there. They're finished. They're going to play up the stretch in Newfoundland. They're going to get something for Waite now they can and let Tyler Moss stay where he is. Maybe help the Leafs next year up in the big team.
All right, now we're definitely holding you to that one. Donnie, make sure you cut that tape up and leave it aside somewhere. Anyway, we got to go to break. We've got a lot more to talk about, so we certainly hope you stick around. As we head into break, we have some highlights from the Dave Keene Midget Basketball Tournament, so take a look, and I think you'll enjoy it.
the New Brunswick channel.
And welcome back into the second half of time out here on TVNB. Thank you for tuning in on this Monday evening. Certainly hope your night is going well. Jim Hennessy along with Bruce McDonald. Let's get right back to the conversation. Wait a minute, got to put the brakes on. First, have to make mention of Katie Reynolds. St. John Amateur Speed Club played host to the Maritime Provincial Speed Skating Championships over the weekend. St. John Amateur Speed Club finished in second place out of 10 clubs, and Katie Reynolds sets a new provincial record in the 1,500-meter event. So nice going to Katie Reynolds. Yep. That's some great job. You see them out there with those blades on, you know, about yay big, and they're just zipping around, man. Unbelievable speed. So congratulations to Katie and to the entire St. John Amateur Speed Skating Club, and we wish you all the best as the season rolls along. Back to hockey for a moment. Dominik Hasek, who has been on the shelf now for about 3 months, and all of a sudden, ta-da, he's elected to the All-Star team. I know this is a sore point with you, Bruce, so we won't stay on it too long because we don't want to get you too upset. It's Monday. Nobody needs to be bitter the first thing in the week.
Well, what people don't realize that Wayne Gretzky finished 5th with write-in votes for center.
Yeah.
So, we're just kidding on that one, but it's but it's very true. It's just a joke, big time. The fans voting these guys in. I mean, I love to see the fans involved, but even in our AHL stuff, there, I've seen a couple of people stuff the ballot box with about 75. Ballots for one guy's name. Is that what it's all about?
Well, see, the ironic part is that he's gone on record saying, I don't know why this is such a big issue, because he's still hurt. still not skating with the gear on. He's skating, you know, maybe 20 minutes a day with just the blades on, and he said he hopes to be skating in full gear in 2 weeks' time, hopes to be ready for practice in 3 weeks' time. So he said there's no way that he's going to be ready to play in the All-Star game. He says he appreciates the votes and appreciates the thought and the consideration. And maybe it's got something to do with, if you think about it here for a minute, this is supposed to be his farewell year in the NHL. So maybe it's got something to do with that. Gretzky, as we know, his farewell year, not that he didn't deserve to be there, but he was voted to the All-Star team and starting lineup. So I mean, you got to look at that.
Hasek's not retiring. Everyone knows that.
I don't think so.
He's come out already. He's sort of backing off that a little bit.
Now. Yeah.
He's coming back for another year, maybe 2 years. I think this might have been the break he needed, to be honest.
Sure.
I mean, you have to give these guys credit for it's a year-round job for these guys now.
Yep.
Maybe they do need a break. I mean, he's been in the spotlight for years now, and I mean, it can't be easy. We will never know, will we? So,
for sure.
I mean. But once again, back to getting elected to start the All-Star game, I know you have to take into consideration what they did the second half of last year right up to the first half of this year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But still, come on, when the guy has played, what, 5 games this year?
Maybe 6.
So
maybe 6.
It's not right.
No, absolutely not. Let's flip to the local hockey scene, the Junior B League, Sussex Western Stars. Tough weekend for them. 6-5 loss Friday night in Rishabukto.
No, in Stanley.
Oh, was it in Stanley?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. My apologies. And they had a 7-4 loss to Charlotte County.
Yes.
So 2 losses over the weekend. I think that gets them back to the 500 mark. I'm not positive about that. I
believe they were 4-5 or 4-6 going into the weekend. So they'd be like 4
so they're hovering around that 500 mark. I tried to get some stats before we went there, but just didn't work out that way. But anyway, 2 losses for them. How'd the Thomas Construction St. John team make out over the weekend?
Okay, the Thomas Construction Tarantulas. The Thomas Construction.
Are you mentioning that to them?
Oh, every bus trip. Every bus trip.
And what do they say to you?
They just friggin' wave me away. They're used to me now. Anyway, they lost 9-5 in Woodstock with an empty net goal. We were only outshot 33-30 up there. To be honest, we didn't get great goaltending that night. That's been a problem. I don't want to be on the guys, but it's been a problem most of this year because we've been close every game. We just haven't got that big save, and the guys have worked hard. We're basically back to being healthy now. They've added a big defenseman now, Scott Stewart. I don't know his exact size, Jim, but he's about 6'4". He has to be in about 250 pounds. He's a big guy, and he looks like he's a good skater too. But I have a bit of a problem we ran into up there. We had 2 guys on our team thrown out for third man in on the same bit of rhubarb going on the ice. On the same guy. How can 2 guys be? If any referees are watching, tell me how you can give 2 guys third man in. That almost seems like there might be a rule of fourth man in.
Wow.
But anyway, other than that, we played a good game. Once again, a good crowd up in Woodstock. There must have been 500 or 600 people up there. I mean,
excellent.
We take one of those.
When's the next home game at the LBR?
We're away again this weekend. We're in Sussex Friday night, then on the ship again. The following week we're in Rishabukto Friday, home to Sussex, and in Fredericton on Sunday.
Wow.
So we have a tough schedule come up, a busy schedule, and the Sussex game, which is a week from this coming Saturday, the Flames don't play that night. So we're hoping to get a big crowd out for that one with the Sussex coming in, 45 minutes away. So.
Absolutely. Look forward to that game, and the Price is Right.
One other thing.
LBR. Sure.
Did Barry Johnson come in and trash his studio? I don't see our Thomas Construction jersey here anywhere right now.
I don't know where it is. I don't know.
Barry must have came in on Friday, didn't he?
Well, we'll check with the producer after. It might be stuffed in one of the lockers. I'm not sure where it is. Anyway, our apologies to the Thomas Construction team. We know you guys brought the jersey in, but trust me, it's kicking around the studio here somewhere. We'll flip the page now to football. The NFL playoffs are well underway. Saturday is the game we have to talk about, probably one of the greatest plays in NFL playoff history. And a gentleman I work with at the radio station, he had the right comment. He said 300 and some odd days from now when they're doing the plays of the year, that's going to be in there. Tennessee, 16 seconds left on the clock. They received the kick, run it back down the field. Real close. I know Buffalo fans like myself, they're out there going, yeah, it was inches, man. Through the lateral pass. They run it back for a touchdown, win the game in the dying seconds. Tennessee is moving on now, and another heartbreaking loss. Second year in a row now. Last-minute play kills the Buffalo Bills' chances to move on in the playoffs. What more can you say about this?
Well,
that was a pretty good game.
That wouldn't have happened if Flutie had started.
I agree with you.
I mean, they would have won that game easily.
Out of me.
Tennessee didn't play a good game. And Buffalo, their quarterback Johnson didn't move the ball at all. I mean,
6 sacks. He was sacked 6 times,
Yeah.
and nobody can tell me that if Flutie, with the mobility he showed all year, was in there, he would have been sacked 6 times.
Well, I didn't see the play because I didn't see the end of the game. I had to leave the house. But tell me something, Jim. Did they kick deep to the?
Yes.
Why did they do that?
I have no idea.
Why didn't they kick it into the into the line and let one of those 350-pounders rumble?
Thing is about Buffalo, in this kill, there were 16 seconds left on the clock. They made a great drive to get that field goal to go ahead, but the thing is, there were still 16 seconds on the clock, and as you and I both know, in football time, that is an eternity. Okay? So, like you said, they shouldn't have kicked it deep. But they shouldn't have been celebrating as early as they did, too. I mean, Buffalo came off the field, they kicked that field goal, they were like, yeah, man, we beat you, you know, blah, 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 you know, you haven't lost at home this year. And then all of a sudden, momentum just whoosh, just like a big wave swept over that stadium. So, you know, you look at it, and I mean, it's one of those plays that you say, you know, it is going to go down as a play of the year. There's no doubt in my mind, but second straight year for Buffalo. But, can't cry.
Well, I'm not shocked that Tennessee won it, but...
No, I
thought they would have won, to be honest, easier. But... the only game I was surprised with on the weekend was Miami beating Seattle, to be honest.
That was a big shocker.
That was a shocker to me. The rest went according to the plan, I would think.
But I mean, a late drive by Moreno. I mean, you know, everybody was talking about the controversy, like, Dan, you know, is this his final game in Miami uniform? Is he moving on somewhere else? Is Jimmy Johnson moving on somewhere else when this season wraps up? But, I mean, Dan, you know, held true to form. I mean, he is the greatest passer that this league has seen. There's no doubt about it. And he drove them down the field last minute. They held on to their timeouts. They played it smart. Can't take anything away from Jimmy Johnson.
Well,
I mean, he's been there. He knows how to win.
There will not be any last-minute drive next week with Miami and Jacksonville.
You don't think?
That will be a blowout, big time.
Blowout.
Blowout.
Give me a score.
I'd say it'd be 37-14.
Ooh.
For Jacksonville.
Man, when you go
and also, another one for you, Jim. Minnesota goes into St. Louis and beats them.
I agree.
Okay.
100%.
Because St. With hasn't played anyone this year.
Nope.
And their quarterbacks from great, their running backs from great. Give them credit, but they're coming up against a really tough team here in Minnesota, with the way Jeff George is playing and the way they're playing. You know, Sterling Moss threw another touchdown pass on the weekend. I mean, what can you say, man? So they win. Who else plays next weekend?
Washington played Detroit over the weekend, and I don't think there was any question mark on who was going to win that game.
But next week, Washington goes into Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay should win that.
I think so, yeah.
And who's the last game next week?
Indianapolis goes up against
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
That's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
Tough game. I think Indy should pull it off at home, though. I've been really impressed with Manning this year and their team, so I expect them to win that.
Kurt Warner is named the league MVP. Was there any doubt?
I don't think so. He deserved it. I mean, he's the third man in history to throw 40 touchdown passes.
Yep.
Give him credit. He goes from Arena Bowl to a backup for 2 years, now to the league MVP. I mean, what can you say?
Yeah.
See what he does next year when they have the tough schedule, though.
Yeah, exactly. So we look forward to that. It's going to be interesting coming down the stretch. So we hope you enjoy the football, and we hope you enjoy the hockey, and go Flames go. They got a tough schedule coming up, but all kinds of home games coming up next month as well. Totally out of time. Bruce, as always, a pleasure, man.
Thanks, Jim.
Have fun on the road. And we'll talk to you again next Monday at 7 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and have yourself a great week.